Okay, it's 9 o'clock. The meeting is called to order. Would the commissioners please come to the front, please?
You did say please.
I get to sit over beside you, Judge.
Real bossy.
All right, would y'all please stand for the invocation and the pledges? Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, Lord, as we're gathered here today, we want to ask your blessings upon us and just give us the wisdom to do the county business and bless this great nation, Lord, for which we serve. In the name of Jesus Christ we pray. Amen.
Amen. Will y'all join me in pledge allegiance? I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Join me to pledge to Texas.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay. Bob, we have special presentations today? None today? Okay. Does any citizen wish to make any comments about any agenda item? If so, would they please raise their hand so the sheriff can give them a form? Anyone? Okay. Well, thank you very much. Does any commissioner wish to pull anything off of the consent agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Deaver, seconded by Commissioner Berry. Any further discussion? Then all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion carried. Thank you all very much. Next item, subdivision roads and plats. I believe there's no items, so we're good there. Budget and finance.
Judge and Commissioners, the total of the expenditures today that we brought for your consideration need to be increased by $378.16. I had sent you a schedule that said it was $376,435.30. I would like to ask that we increase that by $378.16. I sent that to you on Thursday, and on Friday, the treasurer found that we need to pay unemployment premiums of $378.16 to the Texas Association of Counties, and so I would like to add that. It's time for those payments to be made. The largest items that are scheduled for your consideration, if you look at the top of that one-page summary that I gave you, for attorneys and court reporters and visiting judges, $17,999. Then for jail groceries to Ben E. Keith Company, $18,757.96. To the City of Granbury for utilities, $50,932.21. To Dell Marketing, LP, $19,228.98 for computers in the personnel and the district clerk's offices. And then a transfer to the Indigent Defense Fund 112, $18,399. We use the Fund 112 merely as an accounting accommodation so that we have a record in one place, and we use that to make our claim to the Texas Indigent Defense Commission for our grant each year to reimburse some of those costs. To Heartland Asphalt Materials, $24,650.62 for road operations materials. And then to MGM Landscape Services, $27,708.88 for contract mowing. To Somerville County, $28,766 for out-of-county inmates. To U.S. National Bank Association, this is for the Voyager Fleet fuel card purchases, $44,769.32. So we're pretty consistently approaching $45,000 a month for the fuel card.
How much higher is that going up, Stan?
Well, it Commissioner, as I recall, about a year ago, it was averaging $37,000 or $38,000 a month.
Well, gas prices are going down, so you ought to see a little bit of reduction there, don't you think, Don?
Should, yes, sir.
But those are the expenditures, and I apologize for the late notice on the unemployment premiums, but it's something I think is necessary, and I would like for you to consider that as well.
Did you take these out of order for any particular reason?
I thought I went right down the
But
list.
you had a budget line item was first. I didn't know if,
There's no budget.
I didn't bring any today. I'm sorry, Judge.
what are these right here?
Sorry.
Oh, well, that's in the consent agenda.
Oh, okay.
That's the sheriff's
Sheriff discretionary
discretionary
money.
funds. We don't have to
Okay.
approve that.
We had to put it in the public record, but it doesn't call for any discussion or a vote.
All right.
Make a motion, we ratify paying the bills.
All right. Motion made by Commissioner Berry. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Tout. Any further discussion on payment of the bills? Then all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Miscellaneous, take appropriate action. I'd like to ask the sheriff and Ray to come forward, and Jan Caldwell, Hewlett. Jan you brought a couple of people with you, Jan? Very good. Can you come up and introduce them to the court?
Judge, Commissioners, thank you for allowing us to come to court today to talk to you about a donation we're bringing towards the EOC. I've got a couple of folks from Comanche Peak with me, longtime employees, Ray Fishencord. Some of you may recognize Ray's with our emergency planning department. He's also a longtime volunteer with the Red Cross, where he's a resource emergency manager somewhere in there. So y'all probably saw him a lot out at the tornado site in May. Scott Cook behind me is an instructor out with us at Comanche Peak. Scott was a longtime volunteer with the Granbury Volunteer Fire Department. I think he even served as chief in his tenure. And now he's working as an on-call paramedic with Texas EMS, serving here in the county. And I asked these guys to come up just because, one, I think they do a great job for us, and I'm proud of what they do in the community. We have about 600 employees out at Comanche Peak and De Cordova that choose to reside here in Hood County, and they're all committed to being good partners in the community. Lots of volunteer activities that you'll find. I'm proud to go to Little League games and see our folks out there in the stands umping and working and volunteering and all sorts of things. We brought you today a contribution of $50,000 towards the EOC. We understand that there's a lot extra that Hood County does because of the proximity to Comanche Peak here, and we're proud to help towards that effort to keep folks as safe as we can for any sorts of emergencies. So that's what we're here today to do, and appreciate the opportunity.
Well, don't y'all get together so she can take a picture? Y'all move in, Sheriff, so that she's... Sheriff doesn't want to...
We need to.
No, that's fine, that's fine. I just wanted y'all to get together. Yeah, really. Well, thank you very much, Jan.
Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
You know, we have a graded drill tomorrow, and we are really hoping that the government stays out till one more day. Yeah.
I wrote it, hope you enjoyed it.
Thank y'all.
I'll make a motion that we accept the donation, Judge.
All right, I have a motion made by Commissioner Berry and seconded by Commissioner Deaver to accept the $50,000 donation. Any further discussion on this? Then all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Jan, once again. All right, take appropriate action to approve a donation of a tree to the Sheriff's Office presented by Patty Sanderson of the GISD in memory of Deputy Lance McLean.
Good morning.
Morning.
I would just like to ask permission. We presented Sheriff Deeds with the tree the end of August. Granbury High School counselors and administrators purchased the tree in July, and our staff at the high school has now contributed to have an arborist plant the tree at the sheriff's department with your permission.
Well, Jan brought a check. Where's your tree? Still at, okay.
So we would just request that y'all allow us to plant that tree at the sheriff's department, which is where Sheriff Deeds would like to have it planted. We'll plant it wherever, but he wanted it at the sheriff's department.
Yeah, I would like to have it up at the office. A couple of years back, you guys approved, the Commissioners Court approved putting in a memorial. And so where I'd like to put this tree is to the west side of that sidewalk, on the other side of where that memorial is going to be, up in front of the building at the law enforcement center. So
Okay.
it's a fantastic deal. I wanted it there where we could make sure it gets took care of, and I was very, very happy about this, so ask that you approve this.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve acceptance of the tree.
With appreciation, I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
I'll second it, Ms. Anderson. Thank you very much.
Motion made by Commissioner Deaver and seconded by Commissioner Berry. Then if there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion carried. Thank you very much.
Thank y'all very much.
That's very good. Or consider and take appropriate action regarding the request for the Sweethearts and Orphans Antique Car Show to use the courthouse parking lot. Heather, are you here? Come forward. You were supposed to be here to talk about this.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, Heather.
This is a group that is bringing in a car show in February to Granbury, and they're going to be here for a full weekend. And so we wanted y'all to allow them to have their car show during this weekend around the courthouse.
You have the date, Heather?
February 22nd
It's
will be
on
the
your-
day they'll be around the courthouse.
And the 23rd, though?
The 23rd, they're actually just going to be driving around town,
So they won't need the courthouse
No.
lawn.
just the 22nd.
All right, I entertain a motion to,
But I have one question, though. Just like you're doing, you're permanent to the city, so you check liability insurance and all that?
You have insurance for them.
Okay. Thank you, Judge.
I have a motion. Motion made by Commissioner Tout, seconded by Commissioner Berry. Any further discussion? Then all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Consider and take appropriate action regarding approval of $300 a month user fee for 2 employees of the County Court at Law to use the Tyler Odyssey. Mr. Sheridan.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. I'm appearing this morning for Judge Messina. He's actually in the middle of a domestic docket right now, so he asked me to stand in for him. As you may or may not be aware, for the County Court at Law, our domestic case filings have been handled for years and still are currently handled through the district clerk's office. This request before you this morning is for 2 users in the County Court at Law offices, myself and my assistant Lindsay Staudenmeyer, to have access to the Tyler Odyssey system for the capability of being able to continue to schedule, set cases, run dockets on our domestic case docket through the district clerk's office as we always have.
Mickey, this wasn't on our regular budget when we approved the budget?
Apparently it was not, Judge. Apparently it was not.
Well, but the thing is, if you're going to use 2, it's going to be $600 a month. Is that not correct, Jackie?
I'm not sure if that's...
License is $300 a piece.
Okay, that would be, I guess that would be correct. Commissioner Berry, would be $300 per user. Right.
Stan, where does this money that's not in the budget, where is it going to be taken from?
I'm not sure, Judge. I would suggest either contract services in the non-departmental line, 010-409-408, or general contingency, which I believe would be 497 line. it's kind of unusual to use contingency this early in the year. But, I mean,
Can you explain, Mickey, though, what, I thought, and I mean, I was understanding that when we went to Tyler, it was basically for the district courts and for district court and for the district clerk. What will y'all need it for, and how will you use it, and do you need two of them? Why can't one person do it?
Yes, sir. Good question. Most all of our, when I say our county court at law dockets are handled through the county clerk's office. But that would be criminal, civil, contested probate, anything like that. Domestic is the only cases that are handled both for district court and for county court at law. The district clerk's office handles those cases. They handle the filings. Again, as you may or may not know, we're on a rotation basis, so every other case that comes in and gets filed, domestic case in the district clerk's office, one goes to district court, the next one goes to county court at law, and it just continues like that. They handle the housing of the files, and we have to be able to access just that portion of the district clerk's records in order to be able to, number one, schedule cases on the docket, and also to run the dockets for us to publish and distribute. There is one other occasion that we do need to access, not necessarily district clerk's records, but also we access for criminal appointment, attorney appointment purposes. We need to access some information there so that we can tell if an attorney has been appointed on a felony case, so that we can appoint the same attorney if they qualify. Obviously, if they've qualified for a court-appointed attorney on a felony case, they're going to qualify for the appointment on a misdemeanor case. And so just for judicial economy and efficiency, it's best if the same attorney gets appointed on both the felony and the misdemeanor. So that would be one other occasion that we would need to access, at least look at and view information. We don't really need to do anything with it. But on the domestic side, we do actually have to go in, set those cases, and then be able to run dockets.
What about training? I mean, I don't know where we're at on Tyler Go, so will you be trained, or we have to pay more to have training brought back to us, or where are we at on that, Jackie or Tona?
Tona said no.
No, there won't be any extra training because our Go Live training is in 2 weeks. He's included in it. And what he doesn't learn in that 2-week Go Live training, then the judge's office will be able to
Okay.
get with him.
So we haven't missed a date there, is what I'm asking. Okay.
I'm a quick learner. I hope so. But and also I didn't address your question, Commissioner Berry, as to why two users. Basically, that job of entering those cases into the computer, running those dockets, falls to both myself and Ms. Stoudenmeyer. There are many times that she'll get a call. She needs to be able to access that information. And if it's an inquiry about a case being set on the docket, she needs to be able to access that information so that she can answer the question while on the phone without having to, go through me.
Okay.
It's just an efficiency manner.
Okay.
My motion would be that we allow the auditor to work with Judge Messina and Mickey to find the funds and then bring it back to us in 2 weeks, but to go ahead and allow the license to be, let IT start that process.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second? Seconded by Commissioner Tout. Any further discussion? Then all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Mickey.
Judge, thank you, Commissioners.
Discuss and consider sending a resolution in support of TxDOT MOU for Crescent Relief Route.
Judge, I asked for this resolution to be put on, and I have the resolution. If you want it read or if you want it discussed, I believe yourself and myself were privy to a meeting with 2 TxDOT officials out of the Fort Worth office, and this goes back to actually May when we met in Austin with Phil Wilson, the executive director of TxDOT, and TxDOT has actually approached us about this proposal of capping what our partnership would be on the Crescent Relief Route. The resolution goes back to TxDOT to know that we'll be a partner, and talks about capping us at $11.8 million. And then that way they can put us in line and start working on funding and financing. It has got all the way to Senator Birdwell's level, because Senator Birdwell, in one of the last meetings in the last couple of weeks we've been at, mentioned it to me, and I told him it should be on the agenda today for discussion and possible resolution, take action. But do you want the resolution read?
Yeah, why don't you read it?
Resolution was dated today's date for Commissioners Court regarding 377, US 377 and State Highway 171 intersection at Crescent, Texas. Whereas a strong partnership between the Texas Department of Transportation and Hood County is needed to address the growing needs of our transportation system at 377 and State Highway 171 in Crescent. Whereas current estimates to build a relief route around Crescent with a bridge and overpass are approximately $50.5 million, including design, construction, right-of-way, and utility adjustments. Whereas the pass-through finance proposal Hood County was presented with from TxDOT included a construction of approximately $11.8 million by Hood County. Whereas a partnership plan that would include TxDOT assembling the full responsibility for designing and constructing this project has been proposed by TxDOT to Hood County. Whereas in this proposed TxDOT plan, Hood County would continue to participate in this project as a financial partner only by contributing $11.8 million. And whereas proposed potential funding agreement with TxDOT, the contract would be secured, whereas Hood County funding commitment would be capped at the approximate $11.8 million. Therefore, it resolved in the Commissioners Court of Hood County, Texas, to support the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding with TxDOT detailing this partnership planned and outlined by the letter from the District Manager regarding US 377 and State Highway 171 intersection of Crescent, Hood County, signed on this 8th day of October 2013, the Commissioners Court.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to,
I'd like to ask Steve a few questions on this. This deal here is very good, what they was considering doing, right, Steve? It was going to cost us a lot more.
Pass-through funding was still going to build it. We would have had to borrow basically $36 million more than we would have needed for this project, which would have, as the auditor was worried about, would have strangled our situation to go out and borrow more funds. So the $50 million proposal, and then COG is participating in the Johnson County side with about $12 million. Johnson County Commissioners Court is not going to disapprove of this project, but at the same time with the Chisholm Trail, where they're spending $1 million a day building the Chisholm Trail on that project from downtown Fort Worth to Cleburne, they cannot financially participate in this project. But because of economic development in Hood County, when the gas prices are up and the railroads across there strangleholds us, they're not going to oppose this project. But TxDOT actually gave us an early Christmas present by coming forward, because at the time, with the rec center going on and the needs of the county and the loss of ad valorem value, you worry about having money to go out and borrowing power. So Maribel and Brian Barr from TxDOT said if we could cap your partnership at what you would have originally paid after we'd have got all of our payback back, would you still be interested? And that's why we're here today, to see if the court's still interested. I think it's a great Christmas gift.
I agree, and I believe this is very important from getting, I would so-call a gateway from the Metroplex into Hood County. So I'd like to make the motion.
I'll second it.
all right, have a motion made by Commissioner Deaver and seconded by Commissioner Berry in support of the TxDOT MOU. Any further discussion?
Well, once again, Judge, you know, people are going to wonder why dirt's not flying today, but TxDOT has a funding issue like everyone else. But in the preliminary meetings, they're hoping to have plans drawn, have a public meeting, and possibly be moving dirt by the end of 2014 or the first of 2015 for an 18-month project. So it's not like Stan has to go find $12 million today. So it's just the start of the process. And basically, it's another avenue. We still have the pass-through funding money hanging out there, but it gives us two areas and two ways to push at this. So TxDOT thinks they can do it in-house, and by doing this, it will save us money, but at least TxDOT has us on the radar.
Also, I like that cap, so we don't, you know, cost overruns and things like that. And plus, we have several years to pay back the 11.8.
Yeah, and that was something I didn't bring up, Commissioner Deaver, is as a TxDOT project, the county is responsible for 10% of all projects. So on a $50 million project, we'd been responsible for $5 million to start with. So when you look at this project capped at 11.8 million, they allowed us to pay back Loop 567 in, I believe, 4 payments. And in this case, they're allowing us to pay this back in anywhere from 1 payment up to 6 or 7 years. And however the court at that time, when this gets done, wants to structure their payments.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Then
Is
Wait.
that along the same route that they originally?
Yes, that's what the public meeting is supposed to be. They're still supposed to go to the northern edge, and it'll be around a 3-mile loop. And at 171, it will go over 171 and the railroad. So there'll be a bridge that will span both those locations. There'll be flyovers at both ends, so there will not be red lights on the Johnson County end or the Hood County end, and it will be it won't slow you down or stop you.
Will there be access to the loop from 171?
The City of Crescent does not want access to the loop at the 171. They want to force folks through their city. But there will be access at both ends with actual flyovers at both ends and on and off ramps. And the City of Crescent has been in 2 meetings in the last month that I've been in, one at Council of Governments and one at the City of Crescent, because they're trying to work out their details as well.
any other discussion? Then all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carried. Thank you very much. County Attorney and District Attorney will present information to the Commissioners regarding the new criminal discovery laws going into effect January 1st, 2014, how it'll impact business in their offices and the courts.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. I wanted to take an opportunity to speak with you about some changes in the Code of Criminal Procedure, specifically Chapter 38, that were passed this year and will be implemented January 1 of next year. And basically what the changes are is that it mandates an open file for all prosecutors throughout the state of Texas, which in and of itself doesn't have much of an impact on Hood County because we've had an open file for as long as I've been district attorney. Haven't had a problem with that from, I can count on one hand the number of times it's been an issue. But where it is an issue is that the law also mandates that before any case is pled, before any jury trial, that the prosecutor provide to the court a list of every single document, every single piece of paper that's been provided to the defense. And then the defense lawyer has to review that list and has to acknowledge that he or she has received it. And that's something that nobody throughout the state of Texas has done. And the talk this summer has been, how are we going to comply with that? How are we going to deal with this clerical task of cataloging everything in a file, not just having it there, but cataloging all of it? Last year, we in the DA's office looked into having online discovery for the defense lawyers. And the software system that we currently have, NetData, has a system where this is possible. It's been up and running for a couple of years in Eastland County. And the way this system works is that all of the documents, all of the videos, everything in the state's file is completely digitized and scanned, placed on a server. And then when a defense lawyer is hired onto a case or appointed to a case, the district attorney's office or the county attorney's office, the prosecutor's office, assigns that lawyer to that case. And then with a password, that defense lawyer then can access via the internet the documents that the prosecutor has uploaded from the file. And that does a couple of things for us. Most importantly, there's a list then, a record of everything that's been uploaded. And that will make it easy now for us to attach that list to the plea papers. That will be our catalog then. We won't need that clerical exercise of making that list. Now, certainly there will be some additional work that goes into scanning all this stuff in, but we think that it will probably be a wash down the road. For one thing, we won't have defense lawyers or their staff in our office copying files all the time. I have always given those, or always, the DA's office has always paid for those copies, you know, on all those cases. We don't have to pay for those copies anymore. And, you know, a lot of these lawyers are court-appointed. Anything that makes it more efficient for them to do their work makes it more attractive to do that work. So it's, in a way, I think, kind of almost, depending on how you look at it, increasing their bottom line if we can make it more convenient and less expensive for them to do the work that they do. We have been working with Jackie for several months now in the IT department, getting this online, working through some concerns that he has, and he's worked diligently with us. One of the reasons why Lori and I wanted to get this on the agenda is first just to let you know what this change is. It's coming January 1, to let you know how we think this will impact us, and also to let you know what we think the solution is. But also, and importantly, to educate the court on what Jackie's doing, and to illustrate that this is important, that this is a priority. I know that he's being pulled in 5 different directions at once. But I guess publicly want it to be said, if Jackie tells anybody that he's working on this project and not working on someone else's project, I want it to be known what he's doing and why he's doing it. So that's what I wanted to present to you and answer any questions about it. Do you guys have any questions about this?
Rob, a question I have is, do you think this goes hand in hand with what Tona presented about 3-4 months ago with e-filing? I mean, do you think that's the direction everything will go on e-filing? I mean, once you file your papers and everything you scan in, is that, I mean, does it have anything to do with each other?
You know, I'm going to defer to Tona. I say yes, but, you know, I defer to Tona on that. I will tell you that on all of the major cases that we've tried, our capital murder cases that we've tried recently, the way those big cases have been done, even before this law was passed, we've scanned in all that stuff. Had the lawyer come over with a portable hard drive and put all that stuff on there. So this is the way that it's going. But as Lori will tell you, the big cases, it's not so much a problem because everybody's kind of working on those. It's the more mundane, the smaller cases, they're going to have to be handled now the same way we handle the capital murder cases. Now, granted, there's not as much stuff in a small possession of methamphetamine case as there is in a capital murder case. But we are going to have to go through this process. And if we don't, then we're going to have to do something else. And this is all going to have to be done manually. But we're lucky. I think Net Data is one of the few companies out there that have this. We're also lucky that Eastland has been doing this now for a couple of years. We have somebody that we can call for help. We can go over there and see what they're doing. As I understand it, we've already paid for the software. There's nothing new to pay for. The only thing that I could conceive of that we would need that we don't already have might be some scanners, or to upgrade the copier lease that we have to have a scanning component to that. I don't really know because we haven't implemented it yet. But even then, I don't think we're talking about a large outlay here. So,
I know we bought those scanners before for other departments, so.
right. And we'll, you know, because Eastland has already done it, I'm sure we'll defer to them and try to avoid any mistakes that they've made in their implementation of it.
We're also planning on, this doesn't start till January 1, but we're trying to get ahead of the curve, work out some bugs ahead of time. Rob and I have talked about opening this up to piloting it with a few defense attorneys now so that we can get that running before January 1, make sure that we understand what all's involved, make sure we know that it's working properly, so that come January 1, we'll be able to go full force. And of course, my cases aren't capital murder cases. They don't involve a hard drive's worth of information, but I have 1,500 cases a year that we dispose of that are going to have to go through this same process of uploading the offense reports and uploading all of that. So it's a question of volume in my office rather than the depth of the discovery on each case.
Can one of you, or Jackie or y'all, can you elaborate on how do you give an outside attorney access to one case, but he can't see all your cases? Can you elaborate there?
Well, my understanding is that all the cases are in the system that we put in there. And then the lawyers have to sign up to be a part of this program. They have to sign a user agreement. And then, you know, for example, Mark DeWitt on the appointment list, if there is a case against defendant A, then somebody in the DA's office will assign that case to Mark DeWitt, and then he's the only person outside of the DA's office that can access that file. He can access all the files that he's been assigned. If he is court appointed and then the person hires Matt Mills, then Mark DeWitt is off the case and Matt Mills is back on it, or is put on it. So all that is done through the DA's office.
It's actually done on the net data system. Whoever is the attorney of record for a particular case is the only one who's going to be able to access that. And that's something that's in our screen.
Something like user codes and passwords?
Every attorney will have their own user code and their own password for themselves, and that will cover all of their cases. But they'll only be allowed to see the cases where they are the attorney of record.
And just to let you know, just so I guess everyone knows, this discovery statute is specific in that it says that this information is to be provided to the defense lawyer. But the lawyer cannot provide that information to anybody outside of his office. He cannot provide that information copy-wise even to his own client. The only document that the client can see a copy of is his own statement if he made one. And I know that may seem a little odd that you would rely on the defense lawyer to do that. However, that's what we've been doing for years anyway. That's always been the policy, that we're going to give you these copies, but they're for your use only. We have given you that as a convenience. You know, we don't want offense reports, witness statements floating around the jail. And occasionally, over the last 10 years or so, you know, there have been instances where the lawyers have violated our agreement. You know, there are going to be cases where there are problems. However, the statute lays out exactly what the responsibility for the defense lawyer is when he gets that information.
We're also not required to redact any personal information anymore, because the defense lawyers are required to redact before they let someone else see it, so we don't have to spend time blacking out particular parts of documents where there's driver's license numbers and all of that. That was very time-consuming in my office for quite some time. That's no longer our responsibility, that's their responsibility, so that'll be a huge savings, time-wise, on that.
Good.
Yeah, that was you kind of answered the question, the security and the time involved and all that. The security part was not my number one question, is how many people can get into that? Do you access that to that one attorney and he's the only one that can get into it?
Right. And they're not allowed, they can't go poking around other parts of net data.
Okay.
It's just, there's actually a separate website you have to log into, which that's the only place that they can look.
Who will be in control of letting them have access, the DA?
The DA and the county attorney.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just for the attorneys of record on that
Okay.
particular case. You can't just give it to anybody, and there can only be one, so.
If they're pro se, will they still have access?
The law makes some different provisions for pro se. They will not be able to access
Okay.
electronic online at all.
Hmm.
The majority of our pro se defendants, well, I'm working that out with Judge Messina, but the law makes different rules for pro se defendants than it does. This is for everybody else. For everybody else.
We may be regulated to do this by the statute, but I'd like to hear from Jackie to know a timeline and how much it's going to add. We are doing the Tyler conversion at the same time that we have other issues going on, so I'd just like to make sure that Jackie's doesn't have any questions and qualms, and we're okay with that.
Actually, Commissioner, we already are in progress on this. We've done some preliminary testing. And the reason for this was really that in the initial layout, in the upgrade with the net data system, was that this was the latest component to take place. And the reason was that all the other pieces had to be in place. All the hardware and the upgrades had to be in place before we could take advantage of this piece in order to have it functional.
You mean net data updates?
Exactly. So once we had that in place, it had to be the final piece. And unfortunately, that kind of put Rob and the district attorney and the county attorney's office under the gun and under the squeeze there for being the last piece. And then whenever it came down to it and we started looking at it, I had some concerns about the security of the system itself as regards to encryption itself. And so I began discussions with Net Data. I also met with Rob and Lori, and we had great discussions. They were fantastic to work with me, to hear my concerns. And then what we've really decided moving forward right now is that we want to move forward with the project. We already have testing going on right now, today, but we want to continue with a security system analysis, and then we want to actually deploy some equipment that will enhance that security. But in doing that, that takes some time, it takes some testing, and I don't want to hold up the progress of this. I want them to be able to do their testing, to get their people trained, and to not miss their deadline on this. And so I think that we can go and work together and make everyone happy, and both do this, be secure, and I will monitor this and keep an eye on it. And if I see anything that I see as a red flag, I'll of course let the DA or the county attorney know right offhand. But we should have no problem. As soon as this is up and going, I will let Lori and Rob know, and we'll just keep moving forward. And I can let the court know if there's anything there that you want me to keep you apprised of.
I thought I heard the DA say that there's already a statute in place for if someone misuses it, a guideline for them to follow anyway for your security issue question. Is that what you said, Rob, or Lori? Okay.
I think it is, and it's just really more of a thing of due diligence in the future, and so that way we would just be taking that a step further down the road.
Okay.
We just really need this to be authorized and be running ASAP, because we have a very short time frame to get any problems worked out before January 1, when we're required to do it for all of our cases.
And it'll completely change the workflow in our offices as far as how when the cases come in, what we do with them. And it may very well be that after working with Jackie between now and January 1, we're going to have what Eastland has right now and what they've been working with. And it may be that between now and then, we have a better, more secure system than Eastland has. It may be that they start doing what we're doing. So, but it's important, I think, to get at least the prosecutor side of this project going as soon as possible, so our staff can be proficient, so we can open it up for everybody January 1.
Do you anticipate any additional staffing requirements?
We just don't know at this point.
I'm going to say no, and this is what I think. I think that it's going to be more work on the front end.
That's the right answer.
Okay?
No, that's the right answer, Lori.
Anytime you digitize a file, I'm hoping, though, if it's been like any other project like this, that there will be staff, clerical type time savings on the back end. Where's the file? Somebody's got to go hunt it. Instead, it's right there. So I think, I'm hoping, my anticipation is that it's going to be a wash.
Go ahead.
A lot less trees being killed too, right?
That's right.
Well, is this stored on one of our servers? Are we going to have to upgrade servers and all of that?
That's a question for,
Okay,
That was
thank
part of
you.
the net data upgrade, right?
but if we need more hardware, then, you know, that's a good question. The purpose of us being here today is, you know, if 6 months from now we need, you know, 6 more terabytes, you know, you guys will say, oh, I remember what this is about. But again, I don't think that's a huge outlay financially.
I'll tell you as well that some of the agencies, Granbury Police Department and Hood County Sheriff's Department are already providing things to us digitally. So you're talking about killing trees. You know, if you have to print something out, if you have it in a digital format, then you have to print it out, then you have to scan it, then you have to upload it to a digital format. You're doing multi-steps. There is an ability for us to get some of these things digitally from the start, which means that you save some steps in between and you save killing some trees in between as well. So I think we're definitely, to answer whoever's question before about moving in that direction, I think we're moving in that direction. I know Sheriff's Department has a special server that they're putting digital copies of things on already. So it'll be easy for the DA to be able to just move those into the net data system.
And like I told Lori, it'll be easier to work at home on the weekends.
Yay. No, but there is something to be said for a defense attorney being able to look at something at 10 o'clock at night or midnight if they want to, rather than have to wait till the next day, because they can just look at it right then.
Yep.
And we get a documentation of every single time they log in and look at that. So we'll be able to print that out. In fact, Eastland's working on a form that's going to automatically generate at the end of every case that shows everything we uploaded, what date we uploaded it on, what date the defense attorney looked at X, Y, and Z, however many times they looked at it. It's going to be digitized and documented. We ought to be able to just print that out with a push of a button. That's what we're hoping.
If you have a capital murder case and you have more than one attorney, can you log both of them in?
But I would think so. I mean, I haven't seen the
Person
software.
taking chairs, things like that?
You would think so. But it may be once, you know, maybe after next year, we'll have another presentation, tell you how it's going. But I
Okay,
don't know.
yeah, we'll be glad to see you, Rob.
Well, I'm always glad to be here. All right, we're taking up enough of your time. Do you guys?
Thank y'all very much. Laura, you stay. You're up next. You and the sheriff. Okay, consider and take appropriate action regarding a forfeiture of gambling equipment, paraphernalia, and proceeds from the Brazos Bingo Hall case.
Good morning again, Commissioners. The Sheriff's Department and the County Attorney's Department has worked together to shut down the Brazos Bingo Hall, not because they had bingo, but because they had illegal eight-liners going on next door. The case was tried in July. The judge, it became final in the early part of September, and Judge Messina signed a forfeiture order. We now have, from this one case, close to $26,000 in cash and 61 eight-liners, computers, a cash dispensing machine, a change machine, and a recharge station, equipment-wise, that need to be disposed of. Sheriff and I have talked about, because this was a criminal case, what would be the best use of these funds, and we haven't exactly decided on the percentage split between us, but I think it's probably going to be 50-50. What I would like to do with the county attorney's office is take half of the proceeds from that forfeiture and set up a special account that I'm calling a forensic drug testing account. Right now, as it goes, DPS labs test our drugs and test our blood at no charge to the county. And then they ask for reimbursement from the defendants if they go on probation. The problem with that is it's very slow. It's extremely time-consuming, sometimes 6 months or more for a test to come back. But specifically, DPS labs do not test for marijuana in blood. That would be in misdemeanor and felony DWI cases. They just simply don't test for that. It goes to Austin, and they send back a report saying, here's what's in the blood, but by the way, we don't test for marijuana. They're just not set up to do that for whatever reason. They don't test for K2 in the blood, and we're seeing a lot more cases where defendants have K2 in their possession, they have K2 shake on their laps, they're driving erratically, and yet we've got no test that DPS can do that will test for that. Makes it really hard to prosecute those cases. They also don't test for many other classes of prescription drugs. They only test for certain prescription drugs in blood and not others. In addition to that, we have run into a problem at the county attorney's office on our K2 cases. I would say the majority of our K2 testing that has come back recently has come back unable to determine whether or not it's controlled substance or not. And that's because DPS does a cursory K2 test for certain compounds that they can test for. If you know anything about chemistry, you know that being able, tweaking one molecule can make it fall off that chart. So we've had to dismiss a lot of our cases because they're coming back that they're unable to determine.
Is that what that vinegar does?
No. No. We're talking about the actual K2, like in drug cases, the packages.
Oh,
Of the
okay.
substance. Therefore, we want to have, and I've talked to Rob about this, he's on board with this as well, because it's not going to cost him anything. We want to pilot a forensic drug testing program specifically for blood, DWI blood cases, misdemeanor and felony, with any kind of drug in it. And then, of course, testing the K2 compounds, the actual packets of K2. And I want to do this at no cost to the taxpayers. I want to take this, half of this seizure money and set up this account. There's a forensic testing laboratory in Bedford that can test for everything that I just said DPS can't or won't test for. And the costs per test range from $91 to $300, depending on what they're testing for. We would, of course, then ask for money to be reimbursed to the county attorney's office to that account for people who go on probation. So if you've got K2 and marijuana in your blood and you're driving while intoxicated and you go on probation, we're going to ask for that $300 back as part of restitution to go back into that account. What I'd like to do is I'd like to pilot this for a period of time till my money runs out, see how it works, see what our turnaround is. They guarantee a 5-day turnaround on drugs and blood as opposed to 6 months. It should speed up our prosecution of these cases. It should help us prosecute these cases, felony and misdemeanor. And at some point in time, maybe a year from now, we'll be able to look at it and say, here's what happened. We tested this many cases, and here's the result of it, and this is how much it cost. I have no idea how much we'll get back on reimbursement. I don't know what DPS's rate is. I don't know what our rate will be. But it'll give us a better idea a year from now to see where we stand on the prosecution of these cases and see if we can seek other funding possibly in a year's
trial
time.
run.
Well,
Just try it out. I mean, we've got this seizure money. I think it's, because it's a criminal offense and because these are criminal cases, I think it's an excellent way to.
will this help on getting people out of jail quicker?
Possibly. I mean, we just, see, there's my answer again. I'm always like, I don't know. That's what we would hope for.
Yeah,
In this, we would also hope for more convictions and less
Put more in
trials.
jail, Judge.
Well, I don't,
Waiting.
If you're tested for K2 and marijuana, DPS is not.
well, I don't want them sitting in jail for 6 months
Yeah,
up
waiting
there
for a
waiting on a
test.
test to come back when we can process them within 30 days and get them into the court system and get them somewhere.
I can't speak for Rob because he's already left, but I know when I was a felony prosecutor, sometimes we had to PR people out of jail because 90 days would come and go and we didn't have any kind of a test back, and so they couldn't indict them until they had the test back. This should speed that up as well.
Very good.
I would say the majority of this is going to be misdemeanor, though, because of our problem with K2 and marijuana,
B stuff.
So I didn't miss something, though, because you covered a lot of ground, but so I didn't miss something. Are you going to get a blood warrant then on people that the sheriff arrests that may have K2? How are you going to draw blood on? You're not going to draw blood on everybody.
No,
right?
we do blood warrants all the time, anyway.
Okay.
But what's happening is we send the blood off for testing to Austin, and it comes back and it says, well, there's no controlled substance in there, but by the way, we don't test for marijuana. And we're pretty sure from what was at the scene, the smell of marijuana in the car and everything else, and the behavior on the side of the road, that they have marijuana in their blood, but we have got no way to test it.
Okay, you've answered that.
So that's where that goes. No, we're not, we have to have a warrant or a voluntary draw. And of course, breath tests don't do any good for drugs. But we have tried probably a half a dozen drug DWI cases this year, and they are really, really tough.
So how much is this testing equipment?
There's nothing. It's not going to
Paying
cost
for it out of the
anything. It's
forfeiture.
between 9.
Paying for it out of the forfeit, okay,
I just want to pay for it out of my part of that.
That
and
money
I wanna-
runs out.
okay.
Till it runs out, and then we'll see what happens. I mean, at that point, we'll see where we are. I think this is the best way to pilot something without putting any money,
Okay, good.
taxpayers putting any money out. And then the sheriff wants to talk about what he wants to do with,
Yeah,
Some of
on the splitting of the money, then I definitely support this, because whatever we can do to keep things going smoothly, fast. So I'd request that the money is split. It'll go into my forfeiture account for my side of it, and that'll go to help with the drug stings, underage drinking stings through the companies that sell the alcohol, things of that nature, and I would definitely support this into the future, since I have other ways of getting money through felony forfeitures to help support this into the future, because I think this is going to be a great thing to help speed up a lot of process and help get a lot of things done. The K2 is, the chemists out there are evolving that and trying to change it up to stay one step ahead of them, so we're trying to play catch-up all the time. So hopefully this will help get us caught up and keep us up to speed with that, so we can continue to fight the war on drugs and get it off the streets and get these people put away and through the system as fast as possible.
Okay,
the sheriff's office did a terrific job in that Brazos Bingo Hall case. It was huge, and they have been storing these 61 8-liners in their spare building for well over a year now.
Well, I have a question about that. It really doesn't have anything to do with what y'all are presenting, but we approved that in the consent agenda to allow you to sell that with our outside auction company. What do they do with those 8-liners? I mean, who buys those and what do they do with them?
They have to sell them out of state,
Okay,
someplace where it's legal.
that was my question.
you want to
I
hope
wondered
so?
about that
I thought it
too.
was Bob the door. I thought we were going to be right back here again.
How many times we sell them?
There's no guarantee that if they go to Florida, that they're not going to come back to Texas again. A lot of the machines we seized had Florida tags on them.
Right.
So it's a huge organized crime entity.
I just wondered, because I knew we approved to let purchasing put them on the auction site, so I just wondered how.
Just wanted to let you know what we plan to do
Yeah.
We
with
had-
that money.
In 2008, Sheriff Mayo had seized some equipment like that, and it was sold in my administration, I believe, in 2009, 2010. So this is the same way we did it before, sell it, and we sold those on Renee Bates, and so that's why that was on there, to get it to the purchasing agents, to get it on that website and get it sold, and then split up those funds too.
Is this just information only like the previous one?
Yes, well, I guess I'll have to have permission to set up a forensic drug testing account. I'll do that with Stan, and we'll monitor that through my office. We'll pay the bills for the drug testing, and then we'll put the reimbursements back in there, and that way we'll have a track of it. We have an ability to do that because we've got, through our hot check software, we're able to do vendors and do checks and all of that. So we'll be able to.
Okay,
I'd make a motion that we allow the county attorney to procure the firm she needs to do with the purchasing agent, and then set up the funds through the auditor's department to allow her to do this with her forfeiture fund.
Second.
Split the money.
Oh, and for the sheriff's benefit, split the money.
all right, I have a motion made by Commissioner Berry to do everything that he said, and
Wait a minute. I'd like for you to repeat that motion.
that's the only time you'll hear that, and it's seconded by Commissioner Deaver. Is there any further discussion? Then all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you all very much.
One more question, Sheriff. Is it against the law to own them kind of machines in the state of Texas?
Yes, it's possession of gambling equipment.
So
I'll answer that.
So you can't buy them for recreation?
if you sell them,
Oh, if they're purely recreational and you get nothing out of it, not even awards for further play, if you're just playing it for fun and you get nothing, then they're legal.
that was
But
what was
that
going
is-
through my mind. The auction is going to be in Texas, right? Or will they?
It's online.
It's online.
But I believe they These particular machines are not set up for amusement only,
Okay.
but you basically can't get anything of value out of them. Otherwise,
So if I bought that online, I'd be breaking the law.
No.
depends on what you
You bought
use it
61 of them and put them in a place and started running
for. Started charging and paying out
Gamble.
a
cash.
gambling facility, then it would.
You can gamble with one of them.
You could have it in your house.
Commissioner, if you want one, we'll let you know when they go on.
Okay.
Nelda, do you need to say something?
They can actually be auctioned because the people buying them have to sign an affidavit that they will not sell them.
There you go.
That's,
That means a lot to crooks.
Judge said that means a lot to crooks.
It is a big business.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Lori. All right, item number,
Vote on that yet.
yeah, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Consider and take appropriate action to authorize county judge to sign an interlocal agreement for continued participation in the regional public defenders for capital cases. If you remember last year, we voted on this and passed this, and the first year was free, and then the second year is going to cost us $9,800.33 to participate that, and then it goes up every year as our population goes up. So basically, what we had done is in the past that we had $1 million set aside just in case we had a capital murder case. And this way, if we have a capital murder case, the public defender's office out of Lubbock, Texas, will come in and defend these capital murder cases for that $9,033 that we. $9,833. So instead of setting aside all that money, we could, we're buying an insurance policy.
Didn't this come to us about 2 months ago, and we said we would do it, and this was the interlocal agreement that showed up? Is that what-
Right, now we've got one, and I need authorization to sign it. So I'll entertain a motion to do that, unless there's some discussion.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Tout, seconded by Commissioner Berry. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Consider and take appropriate action to authorize county judge and commissioners for interlocal agreement between Hood County and the Tarrant County Arson Force.
Judge, Commissioners, coming to ask for your authorization and approval to sign to join this interlocal agreement with the Tarrant County Arson Task Force. This would be an assistance to the Fire Marshal's Office in the investigation of fire, arson, or explosives investigations. It would allow us to bring additional resources from other agencies that we may not have to come down and help in those investigations. The agreement is pretty straightforward. Allows us to have authority in their jurisdiction as well as ours when they're assisting us. The Fire Marshal's Office has been dues-paying members of this task force, but there was no interlocal agreement in the past to authorize the work done by each agency. What I would ask is for approval for your signatures on this, pending approval from the county attorney. It was submitted to her office. However, due to scheduling issues, I don't think she's had a chance to review this. So I would ask that for your authorization to sign this after her approval and review of the contract.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve this interlocal agreement.
This group was used when we had the 6 young adults that were killed in the trailer house fire, is that correct? We used Tarrant County Arson.
Yes, sir. So we have utilized their services in the past, and this will just make it a little more formal between us.
Is that equipment and manpower, or just?
Both, yes.
But it's interlocal, you can help them as well. I mean, it's.
And we have, with our office, it brings training to my office as well as people who are trained to use equipment, to specifically mapping of these scenes, to diagram them for investigative purposes.
And when I read it, it's a mutual aid agreement both directions, is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Motion to approve.
second.
Motion made by Commissioner Berry, seconded by Commissioner Deaver. Is any further discussion? And all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much, Ray. All right, take appropriate action to authorize county judge to sign a resolution authorizing the county grant for the Hood County Committee on Aging, Texans Feeding Texans Home Delivery Meals program at the Senior Center. I have that resolution authorizing it here. Does anybody have any questions about it? Or do you want me to read it, or?
Yeah, please read it.
All right, it says a resolution of the County of Hood, Texas, certifying that the county has made a grant to Hood County Committee on Aging, an organization that provides home delivered meals to homebound persons in the county who are elderly and or have a disability, and certifying that the county has approved the organization's accounting system or physical agent. Whereas the organization desires to apply for a grant from the Texas Department of Agriculture to supplement and extend existing services to homebound persons in the county who are elderly or have disability pursuant to the home delivery meal grant program, and whereas the program rules require the county in which the organization is providing home delivered meal services to make a grant of the organization in order for the organization to be eligible to receive program grant funds, and whereas the program rules require the county to approve the organization's accounting system or physical agent in order for the organization to be able to receive program grant funds. And be it resolved by the county hereby certifies that it has made a grant to the organizations in an amount of $42,000. Isn't that the amount that was in the budget, Stan? 42,000 for that, or do you remember?
Specifically for that, or everything that was to
No.
the Senior Citizen Center? I think that was 75,000.
Yeah, but you don't remember, okay.
I would say the grant of 75,000 clearly exceeds the requirement.
Okay. Do I have any?
To allow you to proceed with this.
Motion made by Commissioner Berry. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Deaver. Any further discussion? Did you have something? Okay. Then all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Treasurer, consider approval of moving the current section of 207K, 28-day cycle policy law enforcement, to section 207K, 14-day policy, and take appropriate action.
In accordance with Section 7K of the FLSA, the county's current documented plan for law enforcement is a 28-day cycle calculation. The Sheriff, Rhonda Shipp, and I all met last Thursday to discuss moving from that 28-day cycle to a 14-day, 86-hour rule. This is something that's been a long time coming, and we've discussed it on several occasions. Everything was timing, and we have discovered the timing is perfect. The next pay cycle, the most current 28-day cycle is 9/23 through 10/20. As luck would have it, our regular biweekly payroll also ends on 10/20. So the perfect cutoff and start date for the 28-day cycle to go away and adopt this new one would be October 21st. FLSA has two requirements to make the change. One, it must be adopted by the Commissioners Court, and the second one, it must be clearly relayed to the employees so that they are aware of the change. Rhonda Shipp has agreed that she would send something out over Spellman, or that she would ensure that all of the employees affected at the law enforcement center were notified. I'll be happy to notify the rest of the personnel that are 28-day, which is just a handful outside the law enforcement center. You'll see one more 28-day cycle adjustment, but after that one, y'all will be most happy to see that the comp time, vacation time, and everything will all be in line with everybody else. So there is no more wait period.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve this. Motion made by Commissioner Tout. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Berry. Any further discussion?
I believe the sheriff is, you're good with this, correct, Roger? And
I'm great with this, and I really appreciate the treasurer working on this with us. This will help keep everything more simplified and up to date for everybody to look at, for you guys to see what's going on, for us to stay up on everything and make sure we keep comp time.
comp time will roll off quicker is what you told me when you talked to me about it. You'll see the comp time, it won't be 28 days after the fact, is that correct?
Yes, correct. So this is a great thing, and really appreciate all the hard work and getting it going.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Discuss and take appropriate action on jury payment withheld from jurors by district clerk's office, included but not limited to grant access to treasurer's office on the Tyler Odyssey program, jury check program.
Judge and Commissioners, as with any other new software program, things came up that were not anticipated with the jury program. Prior to court this morning, Tona and I met along with the IT director and the county judge, and we discussed the best possible solution that we could get these unanticipated problems resolved immediately, get these jurors paid, and move forward. As you all know, on the financial side, we're kind of held up. Tona went to Tyler Odyssey and is now, as I understand it, full up and running with everything. We've been delayed 3 times on Encode. So she has assured me that once, she has spoken with Odyssey, and they have assured her that once we're on Encode, the 2 programs will talk to each other, and we will not have any issues moving forward. The solution that we came up with is what we will do to resolve the preliminary problem. It's not really a problem, it's just something that needs to be addressed, is our office will take the checks over to Tona's office, and we'll all coordinate with the IT director, making sure that the checks are printed correctly, making sure that everything, all the information is correct, and move forward with this. Fortunately, Tona did tell all of the jurors that she had changed software programs and to expect a little bit of a delay in their jury pay. So we're one step ahead of that, and we both ask that the jurors just give us a little bit more time to get all of the kinks worked out of it. Jackie in IT has assured me that he's going to start to work on this today. Tona and I have talked, and we're going to coordinate times that we can get together and print the checks. I do appreciate the judge intervening with this and helping us resolve the issues. I appreciate Tona, and I do appreciate Jackie and all of us working together to get this resolved and getting these jurors paid. With that, I don't think there's any action.
I don't think there's anything yet, but thank you for the report.
Thank you.
When will they receive their checks?
I have asked Jackie, we have a list from 9/16. So I've asked Jackie if he would try to get with Tona and Tyler, and I believe it's Holly, and we're going to try to get this done hopefully this week. I know there's a little bit of training involved, but they're already up and running, so the check side of it should not take but a couple of days, I wouldn't think.
I told you I'm going to be monitoring this because I have jury duty. That Tona was so wonderful to put me on jury duty the 28th. So all right.
Done.
It shouldn't take but maybe an hour for Holly to get trained on the pay of the jury, and then Brad, Kathy, or Deanna come over and actually learn that end of it, and then they can actually pay the checks themselves and print. The only reason they're having to print them in my office is because the license is on the station. It's a little bit different. It is in code, but it's a little bit different. So they are welcome to come in my office, trained on the payment, and then actually print the checks up.
Okay. Just to make clear, I'm glad to serve.
You are, okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
Discuss and take appropriate action regarding on-site paper shredding for the county, and I believe that that we're still working on that.
I have a date.
You have a date? I think there's a FTE that's being prepared for $10,000.
It won't be that much.
I know, it wasn't but 1,000 last time. We have more boxes this time, so go ahead. You want to?
Well, County Attorney Lori Casper came forward, and she's got a lot of files, but when we did this last time with Mary Burnett, we just opened it up for the whole county. So I believe your staff has found a date and location, and they're dealing with RFE. So November the 25th, but we've secured a jail cell now that Don Lenny has moved out of that cell area in the back, not himself personally, but his records. But to hold anybody's paperwork or boxes they want to get shredded, but it's more efficient to do it countywide. So that's what this is on here for, mainly so that if the court allows it, then your staff's going to put out an email blast for anyone that has documents that need to be shredded, where to bring them. They need to bring them themselves, and then obviously the day of the shredding, the company sends down people that handles them and takes care of them. And Lori and her staff's been working with emails with me on this, and Rhonda and your staff. So the 25th's the day that we're going to actually do the shredding, I believe, and behind Annex 3. But there is a cell that you can have when you have yourself or have time, bring over your papers or documents, and they will be locked in that cell for security purposes.
I know last juvenile board meeting, we approved them destroying some records, so I know they have some. I know all departments do, really. So I'll entertain a motion to approve this shredding. Pardon?
The shredding day?
Yeah, shredding day.
I'll make a motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Tout. Do I have a second?
So moved.
Motion made, seconded by Commissioner Deaver. If there's no further discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Convention and which one is 16? Okay, I think James wants to move down to 16 real quick and discuss and take appropriate action regarding the upgrade of hardware and software for time and attendance enterprise via for Fund 55 not to exceed $30,000 for any equipment and operating system license and upgrade. I believe that's Treasurer.
NIT.
And IT.
That way they can go on, we can go in executive session.
I don't want to be the lone wolf here because I'm not sure I can explain all of the
Jackie?
ins and outs. We've actually been talking about this for quite some time. That system, the timekeeping system, is a 2005 software program. It is not only outdated, but it lacks a lot of things that the new software conversion would take care of. I'll let Jackie explain the other issues with it. I was looking at the proposal that they gave us, and I think Jackie's got a copy of it. We don't use the kiosk system anymore, which they told us in one of their emails would save us a little bit of money on that. I want to make Jackie aware of that before he gives his presentation.
Is the kiosk where you put your hand?
No, the kiosk was on the computer, where you can clock in on the computer. We don't use that anymore. So, and I'm going to turn it over to Jackie to explain the IT.
And there may be a little bit of savings there if we do deduct the kiosk system. And the kiosk system was, at one time, you could pull up a web browser and actually punch in some of the remote locations that didn't have the hand punches at the time. So now that just about every location has a functional time clock there that they can put their hand in, we stopped using that a long time ago, so it's a function that we just really don't use.
Deputies don't use that anymore?
No, they use the call-in system, where you can call in with your phone and you can punch in with your phone, and that has a pin associated with it. So that's the way that they can punch in.
Okay.
With that. So So if there's some savings there, we may be able to shave a few dollars off there. One of the big driving factors for this was that the operating system that this runs on right now, presently, Commissioners and Judge, it runs on Windows 2000, which was about the year that it was probably put in. We're trying to get all of these older operating systems out. And the only thing that this present system will run on is Windows 2000. So we're not only are we in a position where I need to upgrade the operating system, but I'm forced to upgrade the software because of the operating system as well. And it is also, it's just time to upgrade this software. We are so many versions behind on it now that it's getting harder and harder to support. They still do support us when we call them. They're there for us, and they do everything they can, but they do tell us that, you know, hey, it's harder and harder to keep you up to date, and it's harder and harder to stay any kind of security updates or anything like that. We're so many versions behind. We've talked about this now for the last 2 or 3 years, and with the software versions and changes that we're making with our operating systems this year, I think that this is the time, this is the proper time right now to go ahead and take this and make this change and move forward with this. And I'd bring it forward to you as a recommendation from the Technology Department as well, and I'd be glad to answer any questions that you have.
I would say this is also, that was in your budget presentation. This is one of your budgeted items that you asked for back in July, wasn't it?
We've talked about this in that budget presentation. This is one of the things with the operating systems, and as well as with the updates to different things that have to come into place and the different pieces that are in the county network. And this is one of the systems that we've been putting off for several years now.
And it's just designed so you can talk to NetData and Tyler and associated. I mean, it's just an upgrade of the service.
It is. It's a centralized system. It does help us to integrate with the other systems more. This does not change any of the hardware, so all of our time clocks will remain the same. We're not changing any of that side of things. This just changes the back end and the way that it functions. It updates a lot of the functionality there. Instead of every department having to install the software on a computer, it is web-based for the department head. So, you know, there are a few changes there. We'll probably have to do some training there with department heads or people that administrate the time for the departments.
Are you solid on your number that you've quoted here? Is that solid?
That is directly from them. I think if anything, we may be able to shave a little bit off of that if we're able to take off the kiosk, if they will take off something for the kiosk.
Make a motion that we allow the IT department to upgrade the hardware and software not to exceed $30,000 from Fund 55.
Second.
I have a motion made by Commissioner Berry, seconded by Commissioner Deaver, to upgrade the hardware and software for the time and associated time and controls out of Fund 55 not to exceed $30,000. Any further discussion? Then all in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion carried. And item number 12, convene into executive session per Texas Government Code 551.087 for economic development to consider and take appropriate action regarding a tax abatement request for Kroger concerning their move to a new location in close proximity to Highway 377 and Highway 4 intersection. It's 10:55 and we're back in regular session. What I will do is entertain a motion from a commissioner in support of a 381 agreement and for the development of a resolution to be done and presented at a later time.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Have a motion made by Commissioner Tout, seconded by Commissioner Berry. Is there any further discussion? Then all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you all very much.
Coming down. You bet.
Okay, next is we are going into another executive session. According to Texas Government Code 551.072, deliberations about real property, discuss a contract with GISD regarding recreation center property. Okay, we're reconvened into regular session. And what we did in the executive session was discuss the approach on the contract with our bond attorney, and he's going to proceed with getting a contract that we will present to the GISD school board. Does anybody have any other comments they'd like to make? Then we're adjourned.